Good morning, you guys. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Shannon, for those of you who are new, and today I wanted to speak about transformation. So I've been seeing butterflies the last few days pretty much everywhere, and the butterfly represents transformation. Now, I remember early on in my journey, which I've been on a spiritual journey for about 8 or 9 years, and I remember thinking to myself, like, oh, transformation is just this beautiful walk forward. And I think for some people, it's a little bit more simple, depending on, what family line they're born into, addictions, habits, things that they have going on in their life. So if you already are dealing with minimal resistance, minimal blocks to this transformation, then it may be an easier process for you. So I'm not discounting that. However, I will say that a lot of people are going to report that it is not such a cut and dry process. It's not always so easy. And it takes a lot of introspection. It takes a lot of diving deep into our shadow material, into things that we were previously unaware of, to bring those things to light so that we may transform them. And nature is a beautiful mirror of divine creation, of divine order. And so it's always reflecting back to us what God has almost implied to us through his written word, through spiritual concepts. So nature is a beautiful way to get understanding as to how God works and as to our own path and our own evolution. So spending time in nature, number one, is incredibly important when you are on this path. Being in nature calms your nervous system, so it allows you to integrate and to gain clarity and direction when you are kind of stuck or feeling fogged or like you don't know which way to go. And like I said, it works as a wonderful mirror. So it's allowing us to peer into sort of the secrets of God, the spiritual laws and concepts that maybe we're struggling with or unaware of. So, and then also I was reading that even hearing birds singing calms your nervous system, which I thought was really incredible. It's funny how we do all of this work at home, through healers, through meditation, through breath work, through all of these things, and trying to calm the nervous system. And it's almost wired into nature. So all we have to do is go outside, go camping, go hiking, go for a walk. So I thought that was really profound. But the butterfly. So using the analogies that nature gives us, we're able to understand what our process sort of looks like. And one of those symbolisms is the butterfly. Now, for those of you who don't understand the process of going from a caterpillar to a butterfly, I'm going to break it down for you. So the caterpillar, and you'll have to excuse my voice. Springtime, it always gets me, my voice comes in and out. So the caterpillar will spin a cocoon around itself. And when it is in the cocoon, it doesn't just kind of shrink and then grow wings. But what actually happens is the entire caterpillar dissolves into mush. It's complete mush. Now, this mush then reconfigures and changes into a butterfly. And once it is fully formed, it will crack out of the chrysalis, and there it is. It has its wings, and it's completely transformed from one way of being to another. Transformation spiritually is much the same. So when we are transforming, when we are growing and learning and becoming, it's not always a pleasant process. There is the dissolving, the turning to mush, and this can be an incredibly painful process. This can look like losing people. This can look like losing parts of ourselves. This can look like grieving old versions of who we used to be so that we may become something new. This may look like a stripping down or a purification process. So they say being purified by fire. It's not always pleasant. So you may be feeling those really strong emotions coming up within you. You may be being purged energetically and emotionally. This could look like even illness or catastrophe in your life. And a lot of people at this point start to question the transformation. They start to go, God, what is this? Like, I'm wanting to make these changes. I'm wanting to grow. I'm wanting to transform into this better new version of myself. But in order to do that, there are going to be parts that need to die. So it's not that you're being punished, and it's not that you're on the wrong path or that you've made a wrong decision. It is that those pieces have to be stripped away. And the stripping away part is like the caterpillar, the mush, the dissolving. And I'm sure the caterpillar would attest to you. If you could ask it, like, is that process comfortable? It's probably going to tell you no. And then outside of the butterfly, some things that were coming to me this morning was the seed. So if you think of a seed, you can't just throw a seed on the sidewalk and watch it grow. That's not how it works. So the seed is representing, growth, number one, and transformation. Because what starts out a tiny seed then transforms into something completely different. But in order for this process to happen, it has to be buried. So it's thrown into complete darkness and it's buried. And it can feel the pressure from each side. It feels totally alone, isolated, in the dark, buried, like its life would be over. But in that moment is when the seed begins to crack. So not only is it buried, it then has to crack open. And this reveals new life within itself. And this is what grows and becomes a tree or a plant or a bush or food. So that is a beautiful analogy. We have to remember that a lot of times the growth can't happen without being buried. The growth can't happen without the cracking open of the old. Or in the butterfly terms, the dissolving of the old so that something new can be birthed. If you look at Jesus on the cross, death had to happen before resurrection. And so something has to die before something new can be born. You can't have the old and the new simultaneously. It's one or the other. So you have to completely let go of the old way of being, the old ideas, the old beliefs, the old mindset, the old habits, the old behaviors. And this is where transformation for a lot of people can take time. It's not always revealed to us initially what everything, like we're not handed a list that says, hey, you need to change all of these specific things before you can transform. No, so we'll be given one thing or two things and we transform those things. And then that leads us to opening up the next page. And then we have the new list, this one or two things. And then so it's a process and it takes time. It's something that can't be rushed. It's something that has to be done in its own time. And it's something that you can't beat yourself up through just to try to get to a finish line. And so it's a process of becoming. You have to be gentle with yourself and you have to give yourself so much grace and patience. So transformation is absolutely beautiful. Another thing that kept coming to my mind, I used to work for a magnificent woman who was very much into law of attraction and so like the spiritual laws, and she taught me so much when I was younger. And she used to always say on a daily basis, if you do what you've always done, you'll have what you've always had. And so there's something that we need to take from this as well. If we continue to act the same, think the same, behave the same, this is us being in our old ways, then we are going to always have the same results. So transformation requires change. It requires renewal. It requires purification. It requires making new choices. And this can also mean stepping out of your comfort zone. And this can be really uncomfortable for a lot of people too. So taking up new hobbies, deciding to do new things, incorporating new practices, maybe exercise, maybe spending 20 minutes every single day outside in nature, praying, really developing a prayer life and an intimate connection with God. So doing these sorts of changes, it could even be quitting your job and finding something that's more aligned with who you are, or moving to a new city. Change is required in order to transform. So we can't stay the same and expect transformation to just magically appear at our doorstep. It is something that we have to work at. It is something that we have to dig deep. We have to do the inner work, and we have to identify where we need to shift and change. And so if you're struggling with this part, well, how do I know what God is asking me to transform in my life? Look at the places that are holding you back. Look at the things that make you feel uneasy, or not even uneasy, but restrained. So if you wake up every single day and you hate your job and it's making your life miserable, but you force yourself to go anyways, you may be called to make a career change, and this can quite literally change the trajectory of your life and open you up to new happiness and comfort and peace within your own life. It could be identifying family patterns. Look through your bloodline and identify, my grandparents struggled with this, my parents struggled with this. Is this also something that I struggle with, and how can I change it? How can I overcome it? How can I move past this in my own life? And so this may require diving deep emotionally, looking at our own patterns and our own loops, not necessarily reprogramming our brain, but yes, sometimes that's required. So this is where doing affirmations and really being aware of our thoughts and our inner world, so that we may identify where our thoughts are keeping us stuck and where our beliefs are also stuck. So I've just been urged to come on here and explain what transformation is. If you are expecting it to just be this beautiful, magical process where you are constantly being elevated into bliss and there's no more problems in your life, that is not really the ideal process. That's not practical. So to look at transformation realistically, it is going to sometimes look like failure. It's going to look like distress. It's going to look like emotional pain. It's going to look like purging and dissolving and really stepping out of our comfort zone. So I hope this video helps. I love you guys. God bless, and have a beautiful morning.